Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. My name is Ben Dickerson. I'm your co-host. It is time. It is time. The NFL season is upon us. It's ready to begin. No more preseason. No more predictions. No more who thinks this guy is going to do that guy. We get to see it. We get to see them do it. It's time for action, folks. Thursday night football is tomorrow night, and I, for one, am ready.
Yeah, I did mention the date is September 7th. So tomorrow kicks the NFL season off September 8th. We're going to go through week one. We'll talk about the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and how we utilize them during the season, but there are no net points to rank at this particular point. So we'll simply go through the schedule and we'll take a look at our social media page. Ben, there was a few things that popped up, and one of the words that I know burns your ears: analytics.
Okay.
In college football.
Oh, geez.
There we go. That's the face I was looking for.
Come on.
Yes, buddy. I'm like, hey, look. And it showed up in the weirdest place. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then there's a few other general things that we'll talk about on our social media page. So are you ready to talk some football?
Let's go, man. What do we got?
Do your Ben thing, huh?
What do we got?
All right. Can you see that, Betty?
Beautiful.
All right, let's kick this thing off with the first opening game of the year. Many people think this is a potential Super Bowl matchup, and they're even talking about how this has never really happened, where the opening team, the two teams in the opening game, wound up in the Super Bowl. I don't remember it happening. I don't know about you, but we have the Buffalo Bills visiting the Super Bowl champion. Is it LA Rams? I forgot.
Los Angeles Rams, yes.
Yeah, LA Rams. Both teams have made some changes. One guy left from the Rams and went to the Bills. A big move right there. And I think so many people are really looking hard at the Bills to be in the Super Bowl, if not to win it all. But that's jumping a little bit ahead of ourselves, Benny. So who do you have in this matchup?
Well, I don't remember exactly who's favored. I think the Rams are actually the underdogs at home, and defending Super Bowl champions being the underdogs is questionable in a lot of people's minds, okay? Me personally, everybody who's been watching us knows that I like the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, I'm a Giants fan, but I do like the Buffalo Bills in the AFC. I believe that they will go out to LA and they will win this game. I believe that the Buffalo Bills are the best overall team in the NFL this season. That may or may not translate to what I think it's going to translate to, but I'm going to ride strongly with the Bills at this point in the season, being early and all that, and everything that I've said about them in the past, and hope that it comes to fruition. So, yeah, I'm taking the Bills.
The Bills, eh? All right. That's going to be interesting. And especially since tomorrow kicks off the game, and people like what's his name that played with the Rams last year, Odell Beckham, still haven't been picked up. I'm kind of surprised, but I don't know if he was ready to play anyway at this point, so might not be that big of a deal. All right. Okay, Benny, next up, we have an NFC South matchup. Now, I've seen some surprising statements about the New Orleans Saints. There's a few Jameis believers out there, believe it or not. And we still don't know about the Falcons, but we do know that they have two primetime young receivers. One's a second-year guy and one's a rookie. But that quarterback situation is a bit questionable. Who is that? Mariota now?
Yes.
Down there. And I like Ritter, but Mariota should be the starter, which I expect him to be. Jameis is going to come in. And then the question is, what did Jameis learn from his time with Drew Brees? That is going to be the question. Who do you have in this scenario?
Okay, in this game, I'm looking at the Atlanta Falcons, who I believe are probably going to have a down year, simply because they're just not strong in all phases of the game, especially defense. But that being said, there's some questions on both teams. One with Marcus Mariota for the Falcons, one with Jameis Winston with the Saints. But I feel that the bigger questions are going to be about Mariota and how he does as opposed to Jameis. I got a lot of people riding with Jameis. I'm in his corner. I think this is going to be a breakout year for him. Michael Thomas is back off of injury. They got Jarvis Landry. When you look up possession receiver in the dictionary, there's a picture of Jarvis Landry there. And they got the new young kid out of Ohio State, Chris Olave, at the receiver point. And also the really great running back, Alvin Kamara, seems to be back. Now, there may be something to come in the future for Kamara. You know, he had some problems down in Florida.
Some legal problems.
Yeah, right. He's got some legal issues. So there's a possibility of suspension looming over his head. But right now, I haven't heard anything real serious or impending about that happening. So I'm going to say that I like the Saints in this game. I think they're a stronger team. They're most definitely the stronger team defensively. Okay. So I'll be looking at this game very carefully to see how well or not well Jameis does.
All right. Fantastic. Going with the Saints. All right, Benny. My beloved 49ers have to go in to Chicago. And I kept thinking, I said, it's kind of ironic. Last week when we had our show, I talked about Justin Fields and how I thought he was going to be one of the surprises of the year because it looked like he had a command of his offense, which is exactly what everybody's looking over at Trey Lance with the Niners and asking, does this guy have a command of this offense? In addition to asking whether or not he has accuracy issues still, and whether he can be efficient in running the offense. And then there's all the back and forth about, Garoppolo being there. You know what I wanted? I wanted Garoppolo to start all along and just bring Trey Lance along. I thought that was the best way to go. It's not the way it's happening. However, as I said to you before, I think that we do have a lot of talent on this team across the board. You know, it's funny. I'm listening to some of these guys, and they're like, all he has to do is get Debo involved. Like, Debo do this, and Debo can do that, and Debo. And I'm like, y'all act like Debo's the only player on the squad. There's a lot of places to go with this team, running back wise, receiver wise, tight end wise. Offensively. And you said last week you think I'm sleeping on my defense. I gave them a B rating, and you think that's sleeping on them?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, here's your chance. Tell me what you think we can do with one Mr. Justin Fields, who I understand might have a little bit of a bug up his butt about being passed over by the Niners for one.
Okay. The part of the media's job is to stir up little hornets' nests where there are none. Sometimes there are some. Like when we talk about Jimmy G and Trey Lance, that's real. That's there. And I understand the media going back and forth and giving their opinions about how they feel about that situation. But this thing with Justin Fields being passed over by somebody, he ain't got time to be worried about that, okay? He doesn't have time to be carrying a chip on his shoulder. They didn't do him any favors in helping him with that offense last year. They now have a new coach, new coordinator, and they're ready to rev this offense up and use him to the best of his ability, they have yet to have a chance to actually start to give him good weapons. But Darnell Mooney has proven himself to be a number one receiver, and Montgomery is a very good running back. And Cole Kmet, quiet as it's kept, is a doggone good tight end. So we might see this Bears offense take some big strides here, especially in comparison to last year. Now, their defense is not the great 85 Bears of old. We're not going to see another team like that, I don't think, anytime soon. But I'll tell you this, if they can get their offense revved up a little bit and they can start letting Fields really get into his kind of game, I think that's going to do wonders for the team in its entirety, okay? Because what will happen is they'll be able to put points on the board. They won't struggle with long drives and then have to punt, long drives, kick a field goal, long drives, miss a field goal. They'll start to find the end zone. And if they start to find the end zone, that will actually help their defense. However, I got to pick the Niners in this game. You know, I talk good about your team all the time lately. This team is darn near, if not completely, Super Bowl ready. Yeah, I said it. This team could make it to the Super Bowl. You have all the weapons. You've got good run game and a run-centric coach. You have weapons like Debo who can help you in the run game and the pass game. You have Ayuk who had his best preseason so far, best training camp, and looks like he's ready to finally step into the limelight of being an elite receiver. And of course, you have Kittle. What more could you want? On top of that, I think your defense, I tell you what, the fantasy people know about your defense because they got you rated high. Your top 5 defense in almost every fantasy rating, ESPN, NFL, CBS, Yahoo, whatever. You're up there, okay?
Who's ahead of us?
The Bills are basically number 1. Bills defense is basically number 1. Packers are kind of high. Buccaneers are high. You know, every different one, they're staggered differently. But the Niners are up there. Bills, Niners, Packers, Bills, Niners, Packers, Steelers, Saints.
Okay.
That's basically your top 5. So anyway, I'm going to take the Niners in this game.
I think one of the reasons that I said B as far as the Niners are concerned is that again, you know, I utilize Madden a lot. But our cornerbacks are basically 81, 80, 70s, low 70s, that type of thing. So they're kind of B-rated when the game is concerned. We'll have to see. And then the other thing that we have that's a little bit concerning is we have George Odom at free safety. He's rated 71 on the game. And then we have we have Jimmy Ward, strong safety. He's rated 87, so he's up there. So we have some strengths, we have some weaknesses. We'll have to work through some things like everybody else. You like the Niners, you know, I'm rooting for them in any event. So there we go. All right, next up, the Steelers and the Bengals, division rivals. One coming off of a Super Bowl, that'd be the Bengals. The other one is trying to find its new footing, having just named the quarterback. Who do they have at quarterback? Who was that?
Mitchell Trubisky.
Mitchell Trubisky. Wow. How could I forget that? And people are saying that, okay, they're a tried and true state organization. They're going to go with the veterans. They're not going to put the rookie in there, even if the rookie did have a really good preseason. But Mitchell had a good preseason too, and I don't think he turned the ball over. Although we did see at least one, what I call a mind fart, during the season, and it just turned out to be an incomplete. But it's one of the things that concerns me all the time with Mitchell Trubisky. We don't know if he's going to ever Trubisky it up, but we know that he's got a short leash. Now, if you're going to Trubisky anything up, it might be against this Bengals defense, Ben.
That's true. Bengals defense isn't rated high overall, but they've got some players, believe me, especially in the front seven. So obviously they're going to come and they're going to bring big pressure on Trubisky and try to get him to make those mistakes that he's become famous for. That would be the way to go with them. But you can't just wholesale go all out and do that until you score some points and take Najee Harris away from them. They're going to run the ball. Steelers going to run the ball. They're going to dump it to him. They're going to hand it to him. It's going to be Najee Harris left, Najee Harris right, Najee Harris up the middle. Until they fall behind and have to throw the ball, that's what you're going to get. Now, I'm not saying that they won't throw the ball at all. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be situations where they're going to want to try to mix the pass in. I'm sure they're going to want to try to be as balanced an offense as they possibly can. And I have no problem with Trubisky starting the season off as the starter. As much as I love Kenny Pickett and as much as I praised him during the preseason, as everybody on TV is saying, the Steelers are old school. They follow the protocols. They do everything the right way, okay? And as long as Trubisky didn't play bad in the preseason, we all figured he would probably start the season as the starter. So I can't say there's anything wrong with that. But I think they're in a pretty good place, and they feel pretty good about the fact that Kenny Pickett is primed and ready to go if, in fact, Trubisky has a problem. Now, this game probably will be a little bit better than we suspect, okay? But I got to go with the Bengals on this. Some folks are saying that the Bengals might suffer a little Super Bowl hangover. You know, we usually talk about Super Bowl hangovers with the team that wins the Super Bowl, but the team that loses the Super Bowl can have a hangover too, okay? After having such a great season and not even really being expected to make that run that they made, but they did make the run. I believe they've made some improvements on their offensive line, which will be good for Joe Burrow and his pass blocking. Joe Mixon has not had a good history running the ball against the Steelers, so that might make this game a little bit more interesting also. But I think in the end, the Bengals are the better team overall, and they will win this game.
They should. They should. And the only thing I keep thinking is division. So weird. Division games are weird.
That's right. That's why you can't just call it. Right.
Division games are so weird. All right, Benny. We have the Philadelphia Eagles going to visit the Detroit Lions. You know, the Philadelphia Eagles getting a lot of press. People talking about they look like they're about ready to take over the division and move up that NFC ladder, while the Detroit Lions aren't getting that kind of respect. But I know you like their coach. You like his attitude. Our boy Blake Brown likes his coach. So, you know, they're kind of a dark horse. And I remember last year, one of the things we said about them is that they were fighting all the way to the end. And they had a lot of high-scoring losses last year. So what do you expect out of this matchup?
I think this is going to be a heck of a game. This is going to be a good game to watch. I believe the Lions are improved, not only on the field personnel-wise, but also mentally, the way the team carries itself, the belief that they have in their coaches and their coordinators. I've been watching Hard Knocks, and I kind of like what I see. You know what I mean? However, the Eagles have been getting a ton of love from all over the media. In fact, I can't recall anybody saying anything really bad about the Eagles or anybody being a non-believer. If anything, what I'm hearing is it's kind of on Jalen Hurts. It's pretty much all on Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts plays well, the Eagles go far. If Jalen Hurts doesn't play well, the Eagles are going to look, I don't even know what words. I don't want to say they're going to look bad. bro, because I believe it. I picked them to win the division. I think they have the team to win the division. But again, it's kind of all on Jalen Hurts. I can't see Jalen Hurts as bad as even Eagle fans talked about him last year. I can't see him screw this up. I can't. I'm not a big Jalen Hurts fan, but I can't see him screwing this up. He's got the weapons. They have improved their defense immensely. The only other screw up that could happen with the Eagles is their defensive coordinator, who I don't think is the best guy in the world. If he screws this up some kind of way by playing bad defenses or maybe having guys in the wrong places or something like that. Other than that, I think the Eagles will not only win this game, but have a good season and win the division. I'm going to stick to that until they prove me wrong. So, yeah, game one, I got to pick the Eagles.
You know, it's funny when you were talking about Saul on Hurts, and I keep the name and Tua's name popped in my head because it's like all on him. It's like the same situation. You know,
and they both came from Alabama, and they both won national championships, and they both, their paths are kind of like this.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about the Alabama thing going all the way back to that, but just looking at how people are talking about them, and then they got all of this help brought in, new receivers and here and there and everything, and everybody's like, okay, what are you going to do with that group? You know, what are you going to do now? All right. So you're going with the Eagles, eh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, Benny. Did I say Tua? And it's the next team up with the Patriots. All right. So the Patriots now have, it's funny, the Giants have Bills coaches. The Patriots have Giants coaches. Everybody has all of this respect and high expectations for your team with the Brian Dable addition and that Bills influence. But we're looking at the Patriots and who's calling plays, and nobody's been really named offensive coordinator yet. You got a couple defensive guys that are calling plays. And there was a question as to whether Mac Jones had a good or a bad preseason. So this at least are two teams. It's not like Tom Brady facing Tua or Tom Brady facing Mac. These are two teams that seem to be kind of on equal footing to me. What do you think?
Well, I would say equal footing. Number one, the Patriots have this decision or indecision about who's calling plays on offense. One guy is coming off of a failed attempt to be a head coach. The other guy is coming off of a failed attempt to be a head coach and has also coached defense his entire life. So I'm not exactly sure what Mr. Belichick is trying to do here, but that may or may not be an issue once the game gets started and comes time to start actually playing the game.
Right.
When it comes down to actually playing the game, I feel like the Dolphins are the more talented team on both sides of the ball. I don't know that they'll be able to carry over some of that defensive magic that they had for the previous years when Brian Flores was the coach there. But if they can hang on to some of that, the offense is much, much improved. Again, this basically comes down to Tua and how well he does at the quarterback position and how well he uses his weapons. But I think he's got enough, and I feel like he's been around this offense enough and has enough of an understanding of what it is that they're going to try to do with their new weapons and some old weapons and a ton of speed in their running game, which is going to be probably the biggest weapon that's going to make the biggest impact on this offense. I feel everybody's worried about how is he going to get the ball to Tyreek Hill. But my thing is, if Chase Edmonds and Mr. Mostert do their thing on the ground, this is going to make life a heck of a lot easier for Tua. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. I'm going to go with the Dolphins on this. The crazy thing is, even when Brady was with the Patriots, they had trouble going to Miami. Those games were always
that's
tough,
true. That's
right?
true. Yeah.
There's some kind of bugaboo going on with the Patriots going to Miami. And I saw something on TV about them going down early. But I didn't watch the show to find out.
Going down to Florida early?
They're going to Florida early. Yes. They're good. Like normally they would go in the day or 2 days before, but they're leaving like during the week.
Is it a heat issue, you think? They're trying to get down and acclimate?
That would be the first thing I would think of also. It might be he wants them to hit the clubs now and get it over with.
They have this system. That's right. This is my.
I don't know what it is. But they are going down there. It's been reported. I just haven't listened to the reports as to what the train of thought is on this. Okay. But I don't think it's going to help them. I think the Dolphins are going to shine in this game. I think they're going to play really well. I think they're going to handle the Patriots pretty well in this game. I don't think this one's going to be close.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, Dolphins handling business. And you know, the one thing I haven't heard yet, because you got Raheem Mostert, who at one time claimed to be the fastest man in the NFL, and Tyreek Hill on the same team now. And I haven't heard about them lining up yet to see who is the fastest, because that's the kind of stuff Tyreek Hill was doing all the time. He's like, yeah, you want to race? Come on.
Racing people? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh man, I miss Mostert already, so let's not even go there. Okay. So
from what I'm hearing, he's 100% or as close to 100% as he can be. So he's going to start the season, and we'll see. Chase Edmonds is no joke either.
No. That's what I'm saying. They've got tools. They've got weapons. So, all right, but you're going with the Dolphins.
Yes, sir.
All right, Benny. Next up, now this is a mix of divisions here. You've got the Baltimore Ravens going to visit the New York Jets. Now, the Ravens have had their Lamar Jackson contract drama all preseason. It's still not settled. But Lamar is looking to come in and do his thing and qualify for probably the biggest contract in NFL history, especially for a quarterback who runs as much as him, which I think has been part of the issue in terms of his negotiations. He's a very unique situation. He's not like the quarterback on the other end who made all the money, even though he was a backup. We're talking about one Joe Flacco who could be starting for this game. So, you know, but he was a standardized pocket type quarterback. So you kind of knew what your risks were as a team if you were going to give him a contract. It's a little bit more of an unknown with Lamar. But you're looking at the Ravens versus the Jets. I don't know, Benny. You know, the Jets, Jets might have a little something ready for them.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'll tell you, the first thing I'm going to be looking for in this game is the Ravens passing game versus the Jets secondary. Okay? Because when we talk about Lamar, one of the things that we talk about is how he has improved year by year in his passing.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that he has improved slightly year by year with his passing. His long ball has been better placement on his long ball. His short game is crisp. His sideline passes are pretty nice. The guy's getting better throwing the ball from the pocket. We already knew he could throw the ball on the run, okay? The question is now, though, he lost his number one receiver. He still has probably the best tight end in football in Mark Andrews. But can Rashad Bateman step up to be his new number one wideout? That is the question. Can Bateman get the job done route running wise and getting open? And can Lamar get the job done getting the ball to him? Because he can't live off of Andrews. That's just not going to work. Can't live off of Andrews. Even Mahomes couldn't live off of Kelsey. You know what I mean? And we're talking about the two best tight ends without a doubt in the league. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Also,
you're hurting my Kittle's heart here.
Kittle's 3, bro. He's 3. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And guess what? But listen, I don't want to stray from this game. All right, we'll talk about that. But his team didn't do him any favors. It's hard to be a top player when you don't get targets.
And I've complained about that all along, right?
Okay.
All right.
It's hard to claim the fame. I know he can do it, but if he doesn't get the opportunity to do it, it's hard to keep him up in the rankings. That's why he's got Goddard on his tail. Dallas Goddard is right on his tail. Yeah. Dalton Schultz too, but we can talk about that later. Anyway, I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this game. Zach Wilson probably won't be ready. Flacco's going to start. Flacco, being an ex-Raven, is going to help him much because he's been away from the Ravens for a number of years now. So they've changed enough things. So that's not going to help him. I don't think the Saints will have enough on offense to deal with the Ravens defense that is pretty good and is probably just outside of that top 5 defense that we were talking about earlier. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens on this one. And it's going to be interesting to see, since Lamar proclaimed that if this contract thing wasn't done by the time the season was to begin, that he would not negotiate anymore, nor would he talk about it anymore, and he would be all about playing ball. So we'll see if this affects him in any way. You know, you can say, forget it, we don't get it done, I'm just balling. We'll see. Okay. I believe he can do it. I expect him to do it, but it's got to be on his mind.
I'm waiting to see if he slides like he unusually. I'll say in an unusual situation, you know, where he probably could have ran, he slides or runs out of bounds and protects himself a little bit more.
Plays a little bit safer.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And speaking of, and I know it's coming up, but we talked about the Steelers. We didn't talk about Steelers yet, did we?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Franco is getting his number retired.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, by the Steelers. And I'm like, that wasn't done? I thought that was, I just assumed that was done a long time ago. You know what I mean?
You would kind of think that, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so, but he was the king of running out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and no apologies for it. So, all right, going with the Ravens.
Now we got a game.
Well, you like this matchup, eh?
I got to think about this one for a minute. The other ones I didn't have to think about.
Jaguars at the Commanders. Yeah. And I saw something about Chase Edmonds, Chase, what's his name? The defensive end?
Oh, Chase Young.
Chase Young maybe injuring himself at some kind of a camp or hurt or extending an existing injury. And the team wasn't too happy about it, but he was at somebody's camp. He's right up there, and they're another team that has a quarterback, Carson Wentz, with some questions. No questions about the Jaguars quarterback, however. He's in there, but he's got a new coach, and their whole team has a new attitude. So the new attitude from the Jaguars and the new attitude from the Commanders. Their coach is in his second or third year there now for the Commanders.
Ron Rivera's been there for a few years now, I think.
Seems about his third year.
This is probably his third year at least.
Yeah. But still a team in flux, and I don't know, Benny. This is going to be an interesting combination. AFC, NFC. You know.
Yeah, I kind of look at the Commanders as still being in the throes of a rebuild. They didn't do enough, as far as I'm concerned, to really have change the outlook of the team in one off season. They may still have another off season to go, maybe another draft, maybe another free agent here and there to complete, the rebuilding of their team.
Right.
But they did make some notable changes. And unfortunately, they had a nice young running back who looked like he was coming along and was going to give Antonio Gibson some trouble. And then he got in a little carjacking thing and got himself shot in the knee. Yeah.
Oh,
and miraculously, they said the bullet went in and out and didn't hit any major ligaments.
Isn't that amazing?
That's freaking amazing. He should thank his lucky stars. I tell you, they're even saying that he may make an appearance before the season is over. So that'd be really good. But Antonio Gibson goes back to his old job. J.D. McKissick is still the third down back. Terry McLaurin is a top wideout, and they drafted a wideout from Penn State, Jahan Dotson, who I really love. And I talked about back when we were talking about the draft. Again, Mr. Wentz has his weapons laid out in front of him. What's he going to do with them? What's he going to do with them? Their defense is not going to be whole until Chase Young is ready, though. Without Chase Young on that D line, they're just not the same. So I don't know when he's going to be ready. You say he had some kind of a little setback.
Yeah, but I don't know how much of a setback. So
okay.
But
he did a little something that the team's not happy about.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe he's still a couple of games away. But offensively, they have the tools. They have the tools to be able to move the ball and put points on the board. Now, Jacksonville is going to be very interesting to watch. I would not be surprised if Jacksonville overtakes some teams that they weren't expected to overtake. I'm not saying that they're going to have a sterling record. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying any of that. But I believe in Trevor Lawrence. I believe that they've tried to build around Trevor Lawrence pretty well. They also are not a completely whole team. I can't say rebuild because they already started off so young. They're still developing. But I think Doug Peterson being the coach is going to help them tremendously. Tremendously. I laugh and joke with my friends that are Eagles fans about them being lucky to win that Super Bowl. And Doug Peterson stepped in the right dog crap to get the luck for everything to fall into place. But Doug Peterson is a good coach. He's a good offensive coach. He's been a coordinator on some really good teams. He's worked with Andy Reid. He knows what he's doing. I'm not going to lie. The guy knows what he's doing. If anybody can help Trevor Lawrence get better, he will do it. And if Travis Etienne can run the ball the way he was expected to run the ball when he was drafted before he got injured, the Jaguars offense is going to be something to contend with. Defensively, I don't know. I don't know. But we should definitely see some improvement on that offense. So that being said, I want to go Commanders because they're home. And I respect Ron Rivera as a head coach. And the Jags are still young and they may not really be ready. But I think the Jags are going to roll into D.C. and pull the upset. I'm going with Jacksonville.
Going with Jacksonville.
Duval County.
All right. Jacksonville picked up a rookie, right, on the D-line. I think they did.
Yeah, fairly high draft pick. I can't remember.
Fairly high draft pick. So, yeah, I expect a few things from the Jaguars. I would like to see them, pick it up a little bit. Give some competition down there in that what's that, AFC South?
Yes.
Is that it right there, the AFC South? So Jaguars, you think they're going to come in and do it?
Now I'm looking at my list so far. 2, 4, 6, 8 games we've been over so far. And I've only picked the home team twice. That worries me a little bit. But I'm going to keep going. I'm going here.
Their biggest signings we had listed as Brandon Sheriff, at offensive guard, Christian Kirk, wide receiver, and Foye Oluwankun, linebacker. Foye. They lose DJ Shark. That was one of their losses. They picked up Trayvon Walker from Georgia.
That's the guy. Yes, Trayvon Walker. Yes, good pass rusher.
Yeah, they also picked up a Devin Lloyd in the first round.
Devin Lloyd. Okay, he's a linebacker, right?
Yes. He's
a
linebacker. So
they have tried. They're working on their defense.
Yeah.
But again, they're still young. They're going to depend. When you're dependent on rookies, it's not necessarily a good thing. You know what I mean? But you never know. Look at the Cowboys.
Well, they picked up. Yeah, they
had two rookies that were outstanding
last year. Yes,
last year.
Absolutely. All right, so you're going with?
I'm going with the Jaguars.
The Jaguars.
Oh, I got road teams going for wins here. Woo! Nothing like sticking your neck out in week 1. Oh, another interesting game. I love this game. This game has been talked about ad nauseum the last couple of days.
Ad nauseum. And we were part of the nauseated group.
I'm getting nauseated just thinking about it.
and then after all of that last year, I think Baker Mayfield came out and said he did not say that about effing up the team.
It's okay.
It's okay. He said it or not.
I know where his heart is. I know where his heart is.
So the Browns have to go into Carolina and bring their backup quarterback, okay, and to come in and see Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey is back. The Browns are loaded, pretty much loaded. There's no doubt about that. So the only question is, who's going to play quarterback better, as far as I'm concerned? The team that with the best performing quarterback should win in this game. But I don't think that the Panthers, talent-wise, really match up totally again with the Browns. So that's kind of where I leave it off in my question. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what you said kind of hits it on the head. When you look at the teams, you look at the Browns and you say, hey, this is a far more talented team. This is a playoff-ready team right here. And the Panthers are not. But if you look at it from the quarterback standpoint, you sort of kind of got to lean toward Baker Mayfield. Of the two, between Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett, and I don't hate Jacoby Brissett. I thought he played well in the few games that he played with the Colts, but I don't know that Jacoby Brissett can take his team on the road and actually win against the Panthers. The question yesterday, the big question yesterday was, who needs this game more? The Browns or Baker Mayfield? And the talk going back and forth was, when you say Baker Mayfield, that's easy, okay? The whole thing with him being, basically booted out of Cleveland unceremoniously, the way things went down, the way they brought in Deshaun Watson and just cast him off like he was nothing after all he gave them, playing injured, playing under different coordinators year after year after year, changing systems. They didn't do anything to help this poor guy. And all he did was play his heart out. You know what I mean? He opened his mouth and he said a little bit too many things that didn't endear him to other people. But other than that, all the guy did was play hard and try to win. So this is a big game for him on a personal note. As far as the Browns are concerned, I think their major concern as a team is we want to win as many games as we can win and position ourselves for when Deshaun is able to come back and play. Now that they know he can come back this season, they really have something they can focus on. Before, when they were talking about him being suspended indefinitely and for an entire year, and all that stuff, it was like, I mean, you don't say, oh, well, there goes the season, but you got to kind of wonder, like, how far can we go?
Right.
Jacoby Brissett, if he's going to be it, should we try to get another quarterback? Should we have Brock Garoppolo in? Those were all the questions, you know? But now they know Deshaun's going to be back this season, and they know exactly when he's going to be back. So they can look at the schedule and say, if we can win this one, this one, this one, and this one, if we can turn this team over to him and we're 5-6, we could be good to go. So a game like this is important for the Browns. I think the Browns are going to come in here and they're going to win this game.
Yeah.
As much as I want this game for Baker, and as much as I want Christian McCaffrey to go off because I got him on my main fantasy team, those things can still happen and the Browns can still win. So I'm going to take the Browns. I think the Browns are just better than the Panthers. Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
I can't argue with you. I mean, I can't really argue with you. Like I said, across the board, talent wise, you kind of have to go with the Browns. Man, that's tough. You know, that's tough. And I'll be
quite honest, I won't be mad.
I'm not the biggest Baker Mayfield fan in terms of looking at Baker Mayfield as that franchise quarterback. You know, he's smaller, he's slower. You know, athletically, if you compare him to the Bills quarterback, Josh Allen, it's like, ooh, you know what I mean? I think if you had the two guys on the bench and you sit there, you wouldn't be going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You'd be like, Josh, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Baker would be sitting there on the bench. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
Longer.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, but you're going to go with the Browns coming in with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
Kicking off the season, keeping the team alive.
I'm probably going to be kicking myself because when I think back, every time Baker's one of those guys that every time he's presented with a challenge, he comes through. Then he morphs back into what he really is, and people go, I can't believe I believed in this guy. Then he's faced with another challenge. He comes. The guy won the freaking Heisman. He won the Heisman.
Ben.
I don't take that lightly.
How many Heisman quarterbacks?
I know that. But I'm just saying. He was at a school and things weren't going the way he thought they should go. And he went to another school, a bigger school with more expectations, and not only played well, he won the freaking Heisman. He could have just played good and won a bowl game and been happy. He won a Heisman. So he's one of those kind of guys that when you say you can't do it, he freaking does it. But then he always turns back into what he really is. So for this game, I'm probably making the wrong pick. Oh, can I change my pick?
Sure. You know, we're still recording, so you better do it quick.
I'm going with Baker. I don't do this often. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't do this often. I usually stick with my picks. I'm going to go with Baker.
All right. No problem. Switch it over to Baker. All right. That's cool.
And if he does win, it will be a major win. And it'll be good for his franchise. The Panthers will, that'll be so big for them.
Myles Garrett looking across the line, seeing Baker Mayfield.
And a guy he couldn't touch in practice.
Touch him in practice.
I can get him now.
No red jersey to save you now, buddy. I'm coming for you.
Stop. You're going to make me change it back. Then you're messing with me, man. Come on.
Oh, yeah, man. You forgot that. And look, there's only like 4 99 rated players on Madden. And he's like the first one. He's number one. So, woo, man, expectations. Okay, we're looking forward to that one. All right, let's see what we got next here. All right, Benny, next up, the Colts, Matty Ice. They shipped out Carson Wentz after 1 year. Shipped him on out. Brought in Matty Ice. Set him up. Matty Ice had dreams of who's the quarterback with the Rams that just left.
Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I've heard that. People have posed that to him. Could you pull it off? I don't know if they're that good. I did pick them to win the division. The Texans aren't quite ready yet, but I love watching Davis Mills. I root for Davis Mills. I hope he does well. But this is a pretty easy one. I'm going to take the Colts. Their run game is too much.
Colts
Texans.
going into the Texans, their run game is. But they've got the only running back who looked like he could beat out Derrick Henry. And to be quite honest with you, I just played a game against the Colts and I lost 17-14. Yeah. It's you got Buckner clogging up that middle. So he's making it a bit hard to run up the middle, which I like to do, and he does put pressure on you. And as far as the Texans are concerned, again, Davis Mills. Is Brandon Cooks is there now?
Yes, he's still number one receiver.
All right, so they still have some weapons, things that they can do, but overall
they got a rookie running back that's probably going to start.
Right.
I almost forgot about him, Dameon Pierce.
Okay. So I mean, let's face it, man. I mean, you got to kind of go with the Colts on this particular case. Probably the Texans are going to be like projected to win, 3 games at best?
3-4 games.
Yeah, for the season. So, all right. Well, hopefully they will surprise us, and give us a little something else to think about. Well, Benny, speaking of surprises, the Tennessee Titans and the Giants are on the road going into Tennessee. Quarterback in Tennessee has a whole new mindset. He's ready to forget what happened at the end of last season, go forward and conquer. And he's got a rookie in his backfield. He can't afford to do too much stumbling. It's already been predicted that Daniel Jones is going to be replaced by about the 5th or 6th game. I've seen some pundits talking about
replaced by who? Tyrod Taylor?
Yep.
Come on, man.
Hey, look, I've heard all types of stuff, man. And you know what was fun? I'm going to say this real quick. No, I'm going to hold this because we haven't gotten to that team yet. But okay, the New York Football Giants going in to see the Tennessee Titans. You've got Saquon. They've
got Derrick Henry. we both teams have defenses that aren't as good as they need to be. But I tell you what, it's week 1, so I'm not going to hold you in suspense. I'm going to take the Giants in this game. Okay, number 1, they're on the road. So that takes a little bit of pressure off. Number 2.
Takes it off?
Takes it off. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They don't have to live up to the home crowd. They don't have to worry about getting booed if things don't go well. Okay.
They don't have to worry about home field advantage going toward the Titans.
So that's lifted off. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay. You in order to get your full home field advantage, you have to show some promise. You have to give the fans something to cheer for. So let's go on the road first. Let's play well on the road so they'll be happy when you come back home and they'll be rooting for you right out of the gate. That's the way I look at it, okay? So they go down there. They load up against Derrick. They take their chances, keeping Tannehill under control, and they win this game in a close one.
Well, at least they don't have to worry about A.J. Brown.
Right. And I'll tell you what, I haven't heard much about Robert Woods, who was a receiver that I really loved when he was with the Rams. And after he got injured, I know they missed him. They were lucky they got Beckham to fill in that spot, and they ended up going all the way. Robert Woods, I don't know that he's going to be the same guy he was before he got injured, at least not the first year out. So we have to wait and see. He didn't play any preseason, I don't think. So his knee is still kind of in question. And the number 2 guy is a rookie. So again, Tannehill's going to have a big turnaround from last year for this team to be even a contender or even thought to be a contender. I picked the Colts to win the division, but I picked the Titans to be right behind them. I think I picked them to be a wild card team. But they can't afford to stumble, and Tannehill's going to have to play well. They can't live off of Derrick Henry. So again, I think the Giants come in, they load up against Derrick Henry. They don't stop him, but they hope to contain him. You know what I mean? Hope to contain him, hope to slow him down a little bit. And Daniel Jones throws the miracle pass or two. Saquon has a really good game, and the Giants pull out a close one. I'm taking the Giants.
Will Thibodeau be back?
No, I don't think we'll see him till about game 3.
Okay, all right. So no Thibodeau meet Derrick Henry, eh? I was kind of looking forward to that a little bit.
I was looking forward to Thibodeau having Tannehill wear him like a cheap suit. That I was definitely looking forward to. But that's not going to happen regardless of who's there unless we slow Derrick Henry down.
All right, Benny. I didn't mention the one team because we hadn't gotten to that game, but we're at that game now. We have the Green Bay Packers versus the Minnesota Vikings. Aaron Rodgers has been complaining about his receivers a little bit. We don't know if that's just smoke or whatever. Kirk Cousins is one of the best young receivers in the game. People are looking for Mr. Jefferson to do some big things. And one of the guys on Good Morning Football has already picked Kirk Cousins for MVP.
I saw that this morning. Oh, man. Now, I tell you what, I talked about Kurt last week. I picked Minnesota to win the division, much to Blade Brown's chagrin. However,
he's a Packer fan.
However, a lot of that has to do with me believing that Kirk Cousins will play extremely well this year. I don't know about MVP. That might be going kind of far. But I think we're going to see Kirk Cousins show off this year in this new offense. I think him, Justin Jefferson, Phila, and Dalvin Cook are going to all have career years. At least 3 of them are going to have career years. 3 out of 4. And this offense is going to really take off. I'm picking the Vikings to beat the Packers. Packers offense is not ready. They're not ready. They're not ready.
The funny thing about Kyle Brandt picking Kirk Cousins for MVP, and part of his total thesis, if I understand it correctly, the guy who gets MVP is never on the Super Bowl team.
Right. Right.
So,
yeah.
You know?
A la Aaron Rodgers.
A la Aaron Rodgers. There you go. There you go. All right. So you're going with the Vikings over the Packers, man.
Yes, sir.
Blade Brown is not going to be happy to see this short hit here. Neither will my son Chris, the Packer fan that we know so well. All right. Benny, the next team that we're going to show here, 2 quarterbacks who know how to move around a little bit. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals are picked, I believe, like 3rd maybe in our division, the NFC West. A bit ahead of the Seattle Seahawks, but still a bit behind the Rams and my 49ers. People are still picking Kansas City to go far, even though they don't expect in many cases them to get past the Buffalo Bills in the East. That was a crazy, crazy game last year. This should be a crazy, crazy game also, I believe, because the Cardinals are pretty good. And we know that the Chiefs are pretty good, even though they lost Tyreek Hill. So we're all interested to see the genius. Now, again, this goes back to what we always talk about when we talk about the coaching for the Chiefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
That their offensive coordinator is overshadowed by the head coach. And whenever we talk about innovation and all of that stuff, creativity with Kansas City, it's all about Andy Reid, and the offensive coordinator seems like he's just there. But he's still there. And that stability for a franchise who has now the third year? Is it the third year for Patrick Mahomes, third, fourth year?
I think we're going to fourth year.
Yeah, so Mr. Mahomes is now pretty much a vet. He's 4 or 5 years. You what do they call it when you qualify for all the benefits?
Oh yeah, he's tenured.
He vested. I think he vested.
He's vested.
He's almost vested. But he's going to go into the Cardinals, and he's going to have to put down some serious offense. Because I think the Cardinals are going to put a few things on the table still. They still have their running back, Mr. O'Connor, who can get it done, especially close to the goal line. Who you got for this one?
Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to go analytics on you here.
No.
Yes.
How dare you use that word as much as you complain?
The Arizona Cardinals have a penchant for starting off the season fast.
And then petering out.
Yeah, but we're not worrying about that right now.
We're not there yet.
Okay. Just we're week 1. Okay. If you remember correctly, last year, they were 7-2. They start the season 7-2. They start fast. Kingsbury comes out with some wrinkles early on that teams ain't ready for. That, and I have little to no respect for the Chiefs defense. I'm sorry. I talked about this quite a bit last year.
You sure did.
And I haven't seen anything to make me change my mind. And in fact, Honey Badger's gone.
Honey Badger gone.
So a hot offense out the gate versus a defense that's shaky. I'm taking the Cardinals in this game. And some people might want to call it an upset. Be that as it may, I'm going to take the Cardinals. I believe it'll be a good game. I believe it'll be a high-scoring game. But I think the Cardinals are going to pull this one out at home.
We're going to talk about the Florida A&M Jackson State game a little later. I read an article that said Jackson State's using the air raid.
Okay.
So
they got the quarterback for it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So very interesting to see it that brought up again at the college level, in the HBCU college group. So you have the Cardinals over the Chiefs because you really don't believe in that Chiefs defense.
Correct.
All right. I understand. Let's see what's going to happen. All right, there you go on that one. Okay, Benny. Can you say AFC West?
It's time to get things started in the hottest division in the league.
Raiders at Chargers. The Raiders have your favorite fantasy wide receiver now. He's left Green Bay to go be with his Bizoy in Las Vegas. And the old team from LA, the Chargers, have one of the more promising young quarterbacks in the league. Not a bad defense now. Their defense is better. We shall see who can come out of this one. Both have interesting running games, not big running backs, but good running backs, and both for both teams. So who do you like in this matchup?
I like the Chargers in this matchup.
Do you really?
I really do. If you remember correctly, when I gave my predictions last week. I picked the Chargers to win the division over the Chiefs. And the team that comes in last or next to last is probably going to be between the Raiders and the Broncos. It's hard for me to not go with the Chargers. I see them setting themselves up for this particular situation. The defense has been improving year after year after year. Okay. They've already pretty much got the offense set. The Raiders have made some moves, but defensively, I think they're still a bit challenged, especially against a high-flying offense like this. If Justin Herbert does what he's been doing and takes even one more step in a positive direction toward improving what he's already shown us, there's no way the Raiders defense is going to be able to hang with the Chargers. I think the Chargers win this game in a war of attrition, a back and forth battle that the team that has the better defense eventually gets the stop and pulls it out. So that's going to be the Chargers.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing that Derek Carr is pretty good at is war of attritions. So this will be good. Going back and forth with that AFC West. All right, fantastic. What's the show with the two guys always talking about the Cowboys? Cowboys. Well, he has a brother, Sterling Sharp.
You talking about Undisputed.
Yeah.
No, Skip Bayless is a Cowboys fan.
Yep.
So anytime the Cowboys are the subject, Skip Bayless is going to go hard for the Cowboys. He can't help himself. He's a Cowboys fan. He's a San Antonio Spurs fan. He's diehard on both of those, regardless. He'll make any excuse in the book for those two teams, okay? Because he loves them so much. He's crazy. He's a crazy fan. But here's the thing. Shannon Sharp tries to talk sense to him. It doesn't even work. And Shannon Sharp makes a lot of sense sometimes, as funny and crazy as he can be. But when it comes to the Cowboys, you're not going to win an argument against Skip Bayless. I'm sorry. That's the way it is.
I don't know if Skip picked his Cowboys over the Buccaneers, but I think he
wouldn't. He shouldn't. But he'll figure some kind of way out how they'll win because he loves Dak and he thinks Dak can do no wrong. He's a little sour on Zeke right now, but Zeke has a chance to surprise people. I don't know if he will or not, but we'll see. But their troubles on their offensive line are serious.
For the Cowboys?
For the Cowboys.
And for the Bucs.
And for the Bucs, that's true. But especially for the Cowboys. Anytime you go out and you get Jason Peters, okay?
That's Jason Peters. A move of desperation to you?
Bro, Jason Peters is basically a big black turnstile at this point, okay? But he's getting the check. He's going to get that check. He's stealing their money, but they're giving it to him. He didn't even wear a mask. He didn't even bring a gun, and they're going to give him their money, okay? Jason Peters can't play no more, bro. But that's bad because they drafted a guy to play left tackle to take over for the guy that got hurt. They just didn't expect the guy to get hurt now. So the rookie's not ready. So they had to go get Jason Peters. Now, the rookie could get ready. I don't know. We'll see. But it doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. He didn't play well in the preseason, the rookie kid. So I think that's another reason why they went out and got Jason Peters. But yeah, things aren't going to bode well for the Cowboys early on. I'm going to take the Buccaneers in this game, no doubt about it. The Cowboys are going to have to get that offensive line right first before they even can think about beating anybody.
This will be the first year I can remember where Tom Brady does not have a Gronkowski to go to, who is his ultimate safety valve. And I always said, when in doubt, Gronk him. Well, you can't Gronk him this year. You're going to have to move that ball around. But he's still Brady, and he still knows how to move that ball around. So this is going to be an interesting. Do you think it's going to be a high-scoring game? Because
It's
Bucs defense is still pretty good.
But the Cowboys defense is going to be good. The Buccaneers defense is going to be good. That's why I pretty much was saying the better offense is going to win this game, probably hands down. The better offense in my eyes would be the Buccaneers. I think they have more weapons. I think they have a little bit better running game. But I could be wrong on that. Zeke could come out and show us something. I don't know. They've been keeping him under wraps pretty much for the preseason and training camp. So I really don't know what we're going to get, you know? And if he falters, or even if he plays well, they got a 1-2 punch because they're determined to get carries for Tony Pollard. That could be a problem. That could be a problem for the Buccaneers. But I think the Buccaneers' run defense is pretty sturdy. So if they can keep Dak, whose passing game is going to be a little bit limited now that Amari Cooper is gone. And I heard an interesting take on that yesterday too. Guy who follows the Cowboys, he was on Speak, the news show. He said, there's no doubt in my mind that the Cowboys could have kept Amari Cooper. They had the cap money to do it. They chose not to.
Wow.
Same thing with La'el Collins, the lineman. For whatever reason, there's a rift somewhere. They chose not to. They let them go. I don't know why. And he didn't know why either. So whatever position the Cowboys find themselves in, they put themselves in that position. Or Jerry Jones has put them in that position. So we'll see what happens. But I can't see him making moves like that at the expense of winning games. So he must really feel like they can still win games. That's why I said Zeke might surprise us. CeeDee Lamb might surprise us. Dalton Schultz is a more than competent tight end. The Cowboys ain't scrubs.
No, not at all. But okay, all right.
But you know, it's hard for me to go against the Bucs and Brady.
I believe that's like the Sunday night game.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to take the Bucs in that one. That could be a high-scoring rock'em sock'em contest. Yes,
be a good game to end up. Well, that'll end up the weekend, but it doesn't end up the football weekend. The football weekend ends up with a matchup that's kind of like the matchup with Baker going back to visit or visiting or hosting the Browns. In this case, Seahawks will be hosting the Broncos with Russell Wilson riding on in and letting it ride into Seattle. And just like I read a little something, it's funny how people go to another team and then all of a sudden you hear quotes about them saying, there was some quote about him saying that the coach lost that Super Bowl for them with that call at the end.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't even happy with the call. So I don't know. But Russell Wilson, as my wife would say, is going in to visit the Seahawks. Seahawks are kind of like the Browns. They got well, no, I shouldn't say that. I guess I was equating the quarterbacks there because the Seahawks will be starting, what's his name?
Geno Smith, I believe, is going to be the starter.
No, yeah, Geno. And, I'm not the biggest Geno fan. But Geno versus Russell, questionable Seahawks now. Are they in a rebuild? Are they in a retool? They still have two really good receivers, really fast receivers. And the Broncos have a decent defense. They're not bad on defense. So should be a good Monday night matchup. AFC West, NFC West, preview of that matchup that's going to be happening between those divisions throughout the season, because that's how the season got set up this year. That's going to be a primary divisional matchup. Who do you have in this situation?
Well, I must say, when they weren't sure about who the Seahawks starter should be at quarterback, Drew Lock came out, played a preseason game, played the majority of the game, was pretty good. But I think in the last game, they gave Geno his last shot. Things weren't looking good, and he came out and he was able to shine. He played really, really well. He was safe with the ball. He was on time with his passes. He seemed to have command of the offense. He proved that he really wanted the job. And I think that this is going to be a big game for him to prove or to try to win over the fans who so much loved Russell Wilson. In his mind, I'm sure he's saying, if somehow I can beat Russell Wilson in front of these Seahawk fans, in front of the 12th man, I can really win over this city. So this is going to be a big deal for Geno, a really big deal. And it's going to be a big deal for the players that feel like Russell left them behind. The DK Metcalfs, the Tyler Lockett's. The problem for the Seahawks, I think, is, number one, the defense isn't that strong. Number two, their running game is a little out of sync. I don't think they're sure about who their number one ground guy is going to be. And that could be a problem. I believe going in, they thought it was going to be Rashad Penny, but he may be injured. I don't know if you can pop something up on him real quick and find out. So if it's not Rashad Penny, then that means we got to go with either DJ Dallas or Travis Homer. Neither one of them is as solid as you would like your running back to be. You know what I mean? So, and like you said, the Broncos defense is pretty good. I'm not going to say they're great or they're a top defense, but they're pretty good. And Russell's got all kind of weapons, and he's got a running game that's waiting to explode. Javonte Williams should step up and become the number one guy now. And Melvin Gordon is still capable of getting off. So the Broncos look like the more complete team all around. They definitely have the better defense, and their offensive weapons are multiple. So it's almost like Russell is going to just go in here and I think Russell Wilson and Denver Broncos will win this game fairly handily. I can hear the boos for Geno right now. I feel bad for you, Geno. It's not going to be pretty.
Okay. All right. Well, if it's not pretty, they're not going to bring in Drew Lock.
No.
He's just going to have to endure to the end of the game and play.
Right.
It's going to have to be a goes. Well, Benny, week 1. What do you think so far? All your prognostications are now in the book. You only changed 1.
Yeah, I know. And I apologize for doing that, but it's done. I don't like to do that. I like to stick to my guns.
I can dig it. All right. Well, we're going to be looking forward to that next week. When we come back, we will do this segment, but we will be bringing into it the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. Now, for the people who maybe haven't really followed us, I'm going to try to bring up some information here for you. Bear with me a second. So you can go to sterlingnppr.com. You can also find us on Facebook. Here is the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. Now, what we do with the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings is we look at 2 stats which one is a combination of two stats. So it's really more than that. It's points for and points against, but we look at it as net points. And we rank those teams by net points. That's the differential in the points that the teams have played over the season. So, for example, if Team A has been winning by an average differential of plus 25, so they've been beating teams by 25 points, and they're going to play a team who's been winning by an average of 5 points, right? So you got two teams, one winning by 25, one's winning by 5, and they play each other. What we call the bias goes to the team with the greater net points, and it's the difference. So you have 25 minus 5, so the bias would be 20, favoring the team with the greater net points. And then we bring in turnover differential, which is why it's the bias plus. That actually has changed who's favored in some games if it's that close. Where one team, I mean, the net points is basically even, and then one team is that much better than the other team in terms of turnover differential, it can make a big difference. Turnovers lead to points. So that's the Sterling net point power rankings. We'll be utilizing that information as we move forward. I don't know why I have Happy Mother's Day up there, but I did. So we have the Sterling net point power rankings, and I will be doing separate blogs for this, which will then be posted on the Facebook page. Haven't done a lot of that, but again, there hasn't been any points to analyze. So, you know, we're in the off season, just getting ready to get into it. In this portion of the show, Benny, we like to go to our social media page as we get ready to wrap it up. So, as we always say, thanks for following. Please leave your comments and suggestions. Our hashtag is football is life. I saw when we were talking to Blade, he was talking about some of the teams, and he said one of them, the name of the team was Flag Football is Life or something like that. So yeah, there's a couple other is life type things going on out there. All right, let's just go through a few points on our social media page. Not much today. I did want to say congrats to Byron Allen. Byron Allen and some media groups have put together a sports package for the HBCUs that you can watch on an app basis. So I don't know how much Dione has influenced this, but Dione has influenced so much relative to HBCUs and made them that much so much more of an attractive situation. So now you've got, you know, an opportunity where you can go to a particular channel to get all your HBCU athletic activities. So HBCU Go, congratulations to Byron Allen. Byron Allen is an absolutely amazing person. He just bought the Black News Network and he changed that into more of a TV network as opposed to just Black News. So he's on the go, man. So there you go. Byron Allen with HBCU Go. This is the article that I really want to talk about, though, Benny. I called it a big article. I quote the article. It says his biggest makeover, which was his coaching staff. In the coaching staff department at Jackson State, there are 17 people. Sanders is the head coach, 11 position coaches, and the director of player personnel. You know, here we go. The final 4 positions are the change in HBCU. They are the change in HBCU, the analyst. Dione has brought analysts into the coaching room at Jackson State. Now, what makes it even more interesting is that he just beat the snot out of my Florida A&M Rattlers, like 53-3 or something like that. His son, Shedeur Sanders, okay. Let me see if I can find this or not. Shedeur Sanders was absolutely myrtleizing my poor Niners. Let's see if I can find this real quick.
You poor Rattlers.
Yeah, my poor Rattlers, my poor Niners.
He might get to myrtleize the Niners one day. We'll see about that.
Yeah, know what I'm saying? But here's the article. LeBron James said Shedeur Sanders was clicking on all cylinders. Check this out. Completed 29 of 33 passes for 323 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Oh.
Spent much of the rest of it posing for photos with his jewelry.
Wow.
And they're saying that so much of this had to do with analytics. So I'm just getting, I wasn't a big college guy as it was. I'm really trying to grow in terms of my college knowledge. I watched a lot more college when our buddy Corey Clement went to Wisconsin, and we just started watching him all the time. So I was watching a lot more college. But it is very interesting, and now college is going through so much. And the HBCUs are absolutely blowing up because of people like Sanders and other NFL Hall of Famers who have now come back to coach and be a part of that whole HBCU football experience. So, what do you think or know about the use of analytics at the college level?
I mean, it's probably basically the same as it is at the NFL level. What you're looking at is past situations, tendencies.
They put all of that into the math.
Stuff that makes sense mathematically.
They do all of that. But sure. The thing is, I didn't really realize that they were even using it. I mean, is this a big thing? Like are all the D1 colleges, for example, analytics, users? You think?
I would venture to guess that they all have an analytics department.
Wow.
I would venture to guess that they all do, because nobody wants to get left behind. And believe me, just like the NFL is a copycat league, so is everybody else. Nobody wants to get left behind. Nobody wants to not take advantage of something that somebody else is taking advantage of.
Well, with the results that they got out of the first game, I mean, they're like ranked number 1 in that whatever SWAC that they're in.
They're SWAC,
that conference that they're in, and that was a heck of a whipping that they put on Florida A&M, and how much of that, in the article, Dione says it was I think something like heartwarming or something like that to see his son talking to the offensive coordinators who was feeding him all of the potential things that Florida A&M could do, all of their blitz packages and everything, because it's all been analyzed now.
Right.
So he went into that game knowing, I don't know how much, I don't even know if Florida A&M uses analytics. Maybe they didn't.
Well, the bottom line is Jackson State was super prepared. They were very well prepared. And the funny thing is, Florida A&M, with the problems that they're having with players that have been considered ineligible,
right,
and what's going on in their admissions department or whatever department is at fault for this mess, had to travel and play a D1 school, a pretty good D1 school in North Carolina, who plays in the ACC. And they actually were holding their own in the first quarter. They actually got off some really good plays. I don't know if it had anything to do with a lack of preparation by the North Carolina coaching staff. I would find that a little hard to believe, thinking, I mean, that's your doggone job. You know what I mean? You can find film on anybody. So you have to have your team prepared. But after seeing that, and then seeing what Jackson State did to them, I was a little shocked. I was a little bit shocked. They looked like they were completely overwhelmed. You know?
They did. And it reminded me, I used to go to Camden high school basketball games with my friend,
Yeah.
and back then the coach was known for not calling off the dogs, and he'd run the score up. He'd score 100 points on the team. It'd be 100-30,
Right.
And I don't think Jackson came out. It was like near the end of the game. They had a backup quarterback in there. He's still throwing the ball. They were still going for it.
Yeah. They're going to run their stuff. They're going to run their stuff. I mean, how else do you find out what you really got and how guys are going to react under pressure or against another team, whether you're way better than that team or not? You get a chance to give these guys an opportunity. You have to let them take the opportunity. You can't just say, go in there and just hand the ball off. That ain't right. That's my opinion. There's other people out there that say, call off the dogs. You're embarrassing the other team. That's not good sportsmanship. I get it. Okay. But do they give out trophies? They don't give out trophies for that. You don't get any more TV time for being a good guy. You know what I mean? If you want to know what everybody on your team can do, you have to give them the chance to do it.
All right, Coach. All right, Coach. I hear you. Well, that was interesting. Analytics in college football. We covered the week that's coming up in pro football. We covered a little bit of analytics and talked a little bit about who's doing what. I'm done, Benny. You have any final thoughts or words?
It is the day before the season begins. I have my final fantasy draft tonight. It's a big one. It's my main league. And I don't know. I traded away some draft picks last year. So this draft might not be great for me, but I'm going to figure out a way over the course of the season to make myself a competitor.
Okay.
And, it'll be fun to see some of the guys. Some of these guys, we have these live fantasy drafts. These guys are all friends of mine. Some of them I don't see except for fantasy drafts. So it's almost like a family reunion. When we have these drafts, we all get together. Hey, how's it going, man? I see you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a big deal. So I'm looking forward to that. And this Sunday, PTTFL finally opens up. Double headers all around. Everybody's going to play 2 games. We're going to use both fields at Simons. Yes, we're going to use both fields at Simons. And that'll be a big deal.
What time do you play?
I think the first game's 9:30. We have a game at 9:30.
Fixing up Simon. They're not finished fixing it up yet, though.
No, they didn't even start that yet. They're gonna start that the spring of 2023. Yeah, so it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. So I'm anxious about that. And as far as that's concerned, I can just say go Noles.
All right, good stuff.